Chapter 26. What are you saying, exactly? What kind of job are we talking about here? Lexie asked, now leaning forward as well. She could see Betty through the corner of her eye, paying close attention to everything being said. There are several jobs that you would be able to choose from. The one that I have in mind for you, however, is that of a spy. You will receive the training you will need to stay alive and take care of yourselves. It will teach you how to properly spot and avoid trouble around you, and more importantly, I believe for Lexie at least, you will be continuing the work that your parents started. Reinette pushed the folders across the desk to them. Stay here and read them. I need to take care of some things with the police and Betty here while you do. Standing, she motioned for Betty to do the same, and then left the room with her in tow. Lexie handed one of the folders to Jay and took another for herself. Jay opened to the first page and saw that it was dated 1 month before the fire. Pascal Alizare has been helping us as much as he can with our investigation. We dare not ask too much of him lest he come to more danger than he already is. His son is staying with us for the time being. Pascal said before that he was unable to trust a maid to take care of his child should something happen to him. His wife passed from this world due to complications from birth. In lieu of that, we have taken him in and disseminated a rumor that he is my love child. We have learned through Pascal's help that the plot we believe to be centered around France and the United States is much larger than we believed. I will write more as we uncover it, but for now, just know that the assassination plot is part of something much larger. The candidates are being targeted. Some we believe have been bought. Others will have been marked for death. Still others like Pascal have not been approached at all as of yet. We are unsure as to why this is. We are maintaining our surveillance of the targets, however. The very nature of their position and number makes this difficult to accomplish by just the two of us. There are gaps where we are unable to keep them under watch. Jay quickly skimmed the rest of the report and set it to the side, moving on to the one behind it. The news that his biological mother had died from giving birth to him barely penetrated his mind as he read through the material. It looks like these are a day-to-day report of their activities here in France leading up to the day of the fire, Jay announced as he read the last report in his folder. There is mention of an assassination plot in here, but I don't remember hearing anything about a political assassination happening during that time frame. Jay looked up when Lexie did not respond and found one hand covering her mouth as tears streamed down her face. The report she held in her free hand was moving slightly as she trembled. Blinking back the tears that flowed freely from her eyes, she wordlessly held the report out to him. Jay looked at the date on the report and understood her reaction. It was the day of the fire. He was holding their last report in his hands. He shifted closer to Lexie so she could lean on him. Putting her head on his shoulder, he rested his head on hers and began to read. Everything that we have done these last few months has been for naught. We have been betrayed, not by Pascal but by one of our own in the agency. It is too late for us to do anything more than write this report. I fear that it will remain unsent until the day that you, our dear daughter Alexis, eventually reads this. If that is the case, then know that you cannot trust anyone in the agency. Find someone that you can trust and believe in, and hold on to them. Trust few, and when you do, make sure that their loyalties are unquestionable. I fear that even that may not end up being enough, however. Whatever happens, you must know this. Their plan is far-reaching and spans generations. It has been in the works since the end of the last World War. Many people have discovered that war is very profitable, and more than that, it is easy to take power for yourself during such conflicts. Warmongers are nothing new, but the complexity of the plans involved with this group is. Every war for the last 50 years has been orchestrated by them. Every move that they make brings conflict closer to reality somewhere in the world. Their ultimate goal appears to be another world war. One that this time truly encompasses the globe, drawing all nations in. We are unsure as to their specific desire to make this happen, outside of money and power. Humanity has always made the largest leaps forward during times of war, after all. However, The complexity of their plans and the length of this endeavor lead us to question if this is their only motive. The current leadership will have long since passed from this world by the time their plans begin to show true. We have discovered, however, that at least one of their plans involves the construction industry. They own and control numerous construction and development businesses throughout the world. There is more that we need to tell you, but we are out of time. If Pascal survives and we do not, then know that we trusted him with our lives and that while he is still a politician, we believe he can be trusted. Approach him with this information. If you do so carefully, then he may be willing to help you continue our work. We love you. The signatures of Lexie's mother and father ended the grim report. Jay's throat was tight as he swallowed around the sudden lump that had formed. He ran his tongue over his teeth and the bridge of his mouth, before swallowing again. So it was murder then, and it was orchestrated by someone in the CIA, Jay whispered into Lexie's hair. Yeah, if Betty reports us as being involved in any of this. We could be in danger if we went back home. Lexie replied back, her voice muffled by his shoulder. She probably has already. Some working here may have gotten Pierre inside, but he already knew we would be here before that. Someone had to have told him before them. He had multiple little birdies. I think it's safe to assume that whoever betrayed your parents either still works for the CIA or has trained a replacement. Jay sighed and slumped in the chair. Who am I kidding? Where there is one, there is many. We wouldn't be safe, even if that person was gone. I guess this means that we aren't heading home anytime soon. No, I don't believe that we will be. Lexie sat up and wiped her eyes and cheeks, drying them. I'm glad to hear that your biological father can be trusted, at least, she said, trying to smile. Jay smiled softly back. Yeah, that is good to hear. We should probably get in contact with him soon. I read in one of the reports that my biological mother is dead, though. She died shortly after I was born. Lexie winced and looked away as she spoke. Is it wrong that I'm kind of glad to hear she is gone? Why do you say that? Jay asked, puzzled and slightly hurt. And yes, at least a little. Because you already had a mother. One who adored you and loved you. One I knew and loved. It just feels wrong even thinking about you having another mother. Still sorry I said that. Jay sighed and put his hand on her head, ruffling her hair lightly. I can understand that thought process, I guess. Even if she had been alive for me to get to know, she couldn't have replaced the mother that raised me. My mother is the one that you knew. She always will be. Jay heard Lexie whisper, I'm glad, when he was finished. They both jerked apart when the door opened suddenly, startling them. Reinette stood there with Betty right behind her. The bank manager entered the room, revealing that the believed CIA agent was no longer handcuffed. We have come to an understanding for now. She has agreed to work with us in a similar fashion to that of your parents, Reinette said as she seated herself. She is with the CIA, right? Jay asked, watching Betty closely. After what he had just read, he was not sure he was ready to trust her fully yet. I am, she said as she sat next to them. Have you read any of these yet? Lexie asked, pointing to the reports that still littered her desk after they had read them. No, not yet, Reinette replied, eyeing them both, wondering where this was going. Read this one then. Lexie pushed the report that told of the CIA's betrayal across the table to Reinette. Reinette read the report quickly, her eyes flying across the document. This information changes everything, you know that, right? She asked, addressing them both. Jay nodded, we do. It seems that we never actually had a choice. If we had gone back home, we would have been in even more danger. Reinette focused her gaze on Betty as she tapped her fingers on her desk, deciding what she should do. I am sorry, but it seems like the agreement we just came to will not work after all. Betty stood quickly, the chair she had been sitting on shooting out from behind her to strike the wall. What do you mean? You can't just decide that something we agreed upon just minutes ago suddenly won't work. What is wrong with our agreement? She demanded angrily. For one, the scope of our understanding, we did not believe their plans to be as far along as this 18-year-old document would have us believe. Second, it seems that someone in the CIA is the cause of her parents' death. Reinette explained calmly as she waved the document in question lightly in the air. Betty deflated as she turned to look at Lexie. Is that true? Did someone in the CIA really betray your parents? Lexie shifted away from Jay. That is what it says happened. They wrote that someone in the agency had betrayed them, but it never says who that person was. Betty picked up her chair from where it had landed and sat in it heavily. She didn't speak for several minutes while thinking everything over. That could explain why I was found so suddenly the other night when we were talking. Along with a few other coincidences that have been bugging me. What is going to happen to me then? She asked in defeat, the slump of her shoulders revealing how she was taking the news. For now, you will stay here with us. If you are unwilling to face the danger that it represents, we could keep you here indefinitely. However, if you are willing to work closely with us, we can work to discover who betrayed them. Possibly root out any who are involved in some way. Reinette laid out the options available to her. Betty did not even think before she replied. I'll work as closely as you need me to. I want to find these people and remove them from my agency. She declared hotly. Who are these people anyway? Do they have a name or something? Jay asked, raising his hand as he interrupted. They are called simply the Hidden Order of Nations, or HORN for short.